everyone, to our midday update here at Rebelle Live, presented by Toyota. We are here at Base Camp 2 near Ridgecrest, California, in the beautiful Mojave Desert. We're sitting out here in the sun to bring this midday update to you, and I'm with our head scoring judge. She's the big cheese of scoring, if you will, Ms. Chrissy Beavis. Thank you for being out here with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So we know that today they're having some pretty tricky navigations. You guys are making this real hard. It was hard before. It's gotten a lot worse in the past couple of years and really bad this year.
Well, we have a very small course today, right? So we're mostly in the Spangler Open OHV area, which is amazing, and this area is so welcoming to our event, and they love us here, and it's so nice to be here. And personally, I grew up right around the corner, and so this is my stomping ground. So I love it. It's beautiful terrain and beautiful driving, but it's not that big of an area.
Okay.
And so we kind of had to throw some other curveballs at them, like some out-of-order checkpoints, right, some interesting navigation where they just have headings and distances, where they only have to do, or there's some of the out-of-order areas that are just degrees, minutes, and seconds.
Okay.
So things like that.
Well, let's take a look at the tracker and see what is going on out on course. This is a live tracking provided by YB Tracking. You can download this app or check it out on rebellerally.com/live. I've got to take my sunglasses off because it's real bright out here and I can't see the screen. But that yellow line is the enduro that some classes did this morning. Other classes are going to come back and do later this afternoon.
Yeah, so all of the X-Cross class went out first thing on that enduro, and then they were followed by the Group B. So now that's kind of the lower-seated drivers. So you'll see that the X-Cross just immediately goes out onto that enduro, followed by another about half of the 4x4 field, but the other half of the 4x4 field heads down into the Spangler OHV area. They get a couple of in-order checkpoints and then have a way down south there have that out-of-order area.
Okay, so it looks like we've got like a little bow tie thing going on with some teams going up to the northwest and other teams going down to the south. Sorry, oh my gosh, I got my directions mixed up in front of our lead navigator. But they're going in like a little figure eight.
That's right, yep. And then they all kind of come back together at their last green checkpoint and get a map challenge this evening.
Okay. So we know that in that, we'll save that for later. Because I want to talk about scoring, but I want to have those scores up on the board. So let's see. What else do we have up here? So there's a live shot of our base camp right now. I guess, yeah, let's talk about some scoring because we know that that enduro today was the same for X-Cross and 4x4. And it looked like it was very difficult.
It was. And I think that you'll see here the scores of the X-Cross class. The enduro scores are lower than the 4x4s. And now that we have some of the Group A's going through there, we can compare in a moment that the Group A's were able to get almost the full points.
Right.
But the X-Cross, I think they just weren't able to pull that off. You can see there that the one team that got the 18 points has the most modified.
Yes, they
X-Cross.
have the most modified X-Cross. They have the most clearance, and they've just got really, really well put together, well-modified vehicle. And then the next highest that we got was the Bronco Sport. That is stock, but again, that's going to have a little bit more clearance, a little bit more better approach and departure angles than some of the other vehicles. The two that we've been kind of worried about were the X2 and the Mach-E Rally. Both of those are pretty low to the ground, and those scores definitely reflect that.
Yeah, and it didn't help that the Mach-E took a wrong turn.
Oh,
too.
they did?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, I didn't see that on the tracker. Oh, girls.
And it was right before one of the time controls. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that didn't help them out.
Oh, that's just terrible. Well, let's take a look at 4x4 Group B. Now, as you said, we're finally have enough competition under our belts to kind of put these teams into a Group A and a Group B. So the Group A's are going to be a little bit more experienced, have a little bit more higher scores here. Group B, still very good, but we've got a lot of rookies in this team. And where are their RECs? They went out. Again, I got to take off my glasses here.
That's day 3. Let's look at day 4.
Oh, that is day 3. Let's go to day 4. Day 4 is today.
There we go. Okay, so the REC scores. So the highest score there in the Group B was 20 points, but then you can see kind of it drops off pretty quick there.
And if we go towards the bottom, there's a lot of zeros.
A lot of zeros. Yeah. And we had a lot of people just not even going on the course, taking wrong turns, and just skipping checkpoint or skipping some of the time controls.
Yeah.
And then by the time they actually got back on, the last time control, that was pretty hard for them to get.
Yeah, it's too late. You can't, at that point, you can't keep it up. And it was also an hour-long REC, and that's tough to do if you've got a long sections in between tulip notes to try to do the math for all those intervals. It's something that you have to do if you want to stay on time. It's just a matter of, did you have time in base camp to plot that? Because that was the very first thing that they did when they went off the line. So
that's right.
Having those enduro challenges at the top of the day can be very, very difficult. You're trying to do some crazy math at 5 a.m. with very little sleep and not a lot of coffee.
Yeah, it is hard for them, and especially when you're new at it, you don't have all of the little tricks that some of the more experienced teams do. I mean, and just about like where to write your numbers.
Yep.
Right. Once they get better at it, then they get a lot quicker at it.
Yeah. Organizing all of those numbers is a really big deal, just so that you can go back and read it and not say like, wait, what am I saying here to myself?
Right.
All right. Let's take a look at Group A, and some of them have started on their REC. Actually, it looks like many of them have done it, but the top score that we have is 23 points. Again, that's very good, but I'm not sure we're going to see a perfect score on the on-time enduro today.
Yeah, it's looking like we might not, because if those top teams weren't able to do it, then that's pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that the time controls were placed throughout the enduro, a couple that were pretty close in the middle and then one really far at the end.
Yeah.
If you're trying to stay really close on time because you don't know where a time control is,
right.
That's tricky.
And you guys have placed time controls so that you can't necessarily see them from 100 meters out. They might be over the crest of a hill.
That's right.
It's much easier when you can see it, and then you can say, oh, wait, no, we're ahead or we're behind, and you can modify your speed just for that last 100 meters so that you can get it. But when it happens over a crest and you're like, oh, time control, oh, okay, I don't know where I may just keep going.
That's right.
Yeah, it can be very, very stressful in the car. So I'm kind of glad I wasn't out there today. I'm not going to lie.
Well, we went so easy on them on day one. Day one was just an easy REC. Now this one was tricky again.
Well, you all might see some scores in there that are in red. And if you go down to the bottom of the live scoring, we've got a little bit of an explanation there, because any score that is in red is not actually valid.
That's right. So when you see something in red, it means that they did signal at that checkpoint. Mm-hmm. And we want you at home to be able to see why is that score not valid. And so sometimes it'll just be the number is in red, and then it'll have one of these little things down at the bottom that says, L for late, G for that they had missed a green. But sometimes you'll actually see that the score is in black, and then there is something next to it that is in red.
Okay.
That means that, like, if at a green, they'll have the score in black, but then it'll have a red L next to it. That means that they got the points for it, but then they got a 5-point penalty for being late to those greens.
Got it.
And greens are different than the blues and black diamonds. Blues and black diamonds, if you're late, you don't get any of the points.
Okay.
But the greens, because we want to incentivize people to go to all of the green checkpoints, because it keeps them on the correct route and keeps them safe, like close to our safety crews. If they still go to the green, they only get a 5-point penalty. So we really want them to go to those greens.
Yeah, right. And then if you see a red number with an X next to it, and then the next checkpoint, they have a black number, that means that they went for both the regular checkpoint and the X checkpoint, but they're not going to get the points for that regular checkpoint because they went ahead and they did get the more difficult X checkpoints. Honestly, that's a pretty tough strategy for you to put on yourself, because you're just wasting time. You're wasting time getting 2 checkpoints when you're only going to get scored for 1 ultimately. So you might as well just, put all your eggs in that X basket, because no risk, no reward, right?
Yeah, I think that what we saw, we saw 1 or 2 today, and that was only because the regular one was like on the way to the X checkpoint, so they might as well pick it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I know we've got a few questions from social, so let's see those up on the board, and maybe we can go ahead and answer those for our fans out there on the interwebs. So for Ryan Miller, why are some REC scores reducing by 5 points after they are done? Saw quite a few scores adjusted like that.
All right, so that won't 5 points won't be for the REC score. So the that REC score, when it comes in, should be coming in appropriately.
Okay.
If you see a penalty applied afterwards, it's probably because they got to either the start of the REC late or the finish of the REC late, and that would be that 5 point penalty for getting a green.
All right. And Antoinette is wondering, I saw that yesterday, what's the E for? Right, so the E is for early. So we've got E for early and L for late.
That's right. Yeah. And yesterday it happened twice, I think, on those on that first green checkpoint where we were very clear with them, don't signal early.
Right, right.
And if you signal early, you're allowed to signal again. It's just stay there and signal again.
Right.
So, because, what if their watch was wrong? They get the time on their YB tracker.
Right.
And they can use that to say, oh, shoot, I was early. And they just wait and signal again.
Right.
Those two teams did not do that.
Yeah. But you don't get the time is not on your YB tracker until you click it. Until you click it, that screen is blank.
Right. And
so
they have to signal, and so it's fine if they do multi-signals there. They can signal again and get the points, and it wouldn't have been early, but they just signaled and left.
Oh, man, that's heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Well, I also had someone message me on Facebook, and they wanted to know, Emily today was talking about vectors in some of these areas where they're trying to go on heading and distance, and she was wondering, Carrie Porter was wondering, what exactly was Emily talking about when she was talking about vectors?
Yeah, vectors just means the heading.
Okay.
Right? So the compass direction.
Okay.
And vectors is a term used in flying or for pilots.
Got it.
Yeah, and so, but heading is usually what we use here, but it's a compass heading.
Got it. Well, I didn't know that either, so now I've learned like 4 things today, so I feel like I can just go to bed now because, I've learned so much, and so my day is done. Thank you so much, Chrissy, for joining us. We're always happy to be able to do these midday competition updates for you. We've got another live show today from the finish line. I do believe that we've got a camera will be on the Rebelles as they get their plot twist later this afternoon, so we're going to get some reactions for you guys from there, and I'm very excited to see how excited or how dejected everybody is once they figure out what the heck is going on. So, again, we will see you guys tonight at 6 p.m. at RebelleRallyLive.com. We are presented by Toyota. We'll catch you in a few hours.